up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Down and Dirty with Devereaux. First off, I gotta thank my teammate Natalie Achanwa for allowing me to crash at her crib for the weekend. Appreciate you. So I'm really excited for this episode. As some of you know, I asked on social media, and the topic for today is, why do you think the WNBA is so disrespected? And I got so much feedback that I'm actually going to have to split this into two parts. So this week's episode and next week's episode will be on this topic. I think it's so dope that I got so many responses and appreciate all the participation from you guys. So I just don't want to skimp on anything, and I want to make sure I touch on all the arguments that were made. Now, I know a lot of you think that I got this idea for this topic from the Charles Barkley comments, but actually this was supposed to be my first episode. And when I came home from Indiana after the season, I was watching Moesha. And in this particular episode, Moesha's parents thought that she was smoking weed. So they brought a nurse to the house and they were going to surprise her and make her take a drug test. And then this happened.
And the test is accurate? Well, thanks to us, next season half the WNBA will be playing in the NBA. All I'm saying is we catch the bad guys.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
After watching that scene, my initial reaction was, when did this come on? Because Moesha had been off air for a minute. So I checked the date and it says 1998. That's 1 year after our inaugural season. Now, call me optimistic, but I thought the disrespect that we get was fairly recent. Let's say the last 8 to 10 years. But this confirms that we've been trashed our entire existence. So that's what made me want to talk about this topic. And then Charles Barkley just happened to be ignorant at just the right time. And if you've been sitting under a rock for the past 2 weeks and you have no idea what I'm talking about, this is what Charles said.
Maybe I'm old school, but I'm never going to like that little girly basketball where you have to outscore people.
Well, at least
You know what I have to bring back for you, Charles?
Oh, hell no!
I saw Charles' comments on social media, and he was getting absolutely crucified for them. But I wanted to know what the sports world thought of what he said. So I watched some of the sports talk shows, and the general notion was that what he said wasn't wrong, even though people were fake mad. But we live in an era where everyone's hypersensitive, so you have to watch what you say. And I got this clip from the Colin Cowherd show, and he in particular said he would have just asked Charles to use a different term. And the female co-host on his show said,
and I love Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
I will just say this. Whenever and as long as we continue to use the word girly, and there's a word that starts with a P that's often used to describe something as being weak, I think that's a dangerous space.
I don't know why in 2016 people are still doing that, because women do practically everything these days. But I'm going to give you two straight facts on why women are weak. Number one, we have babies. And number two, we have periods.
They tried it.
But to me, Charles meant this in the sense that not only are we not tough, but we also only play finesse and we don't play defense. And he said this in reference to the NBA.
Boy, if you don't get...
In light of all that, I asked the question of why the WNBA is so disrespected instead of using the general term of women's basketball, because I personally believe that college basketball isn't nearly as trashed as the league is. And of all the responses, they fell into 5 categories. And I'm going to go over those 5 categories between this episode and the next episode.
Top 5, no debating. Top 5.
Let's get straight into the comments. On Facebook, Brian Smith says, well, I think it has a lot to do with the advertising. There's not much awareness for the WNBA. The production needs work as well. WNBA fails at exposure. Lack of coverage and poor marketing was the number one response to my question. But that's not really what came to my mind when I asked it, simply because the media is a popularity contest. I don't think we're on TV a lot because in the grand scheme of things, we're not extremely popular sport. So if they put us on, they're not going to make a lot of money. It's tough for us because we need that coverage to gain fans, because there's so many people that don't even know our sport exists. So to me, it's kind of like this circular issue between the media not wanting to lose money and us needing to gain that exposure. And as far as the marketing, the NBA can market the way they do because they have money. We don't have the resources to market in the same way that the NBA does. And really, I think it just boils down to that. I don't think it's much deeper than that. I think if we had the money, we would be able to market a lot better and we would be able to gain more exposure and be on TV more. But that's kind of where we're stuck right now with this like circular issue going back and forth. On Instagram, at Elizabeth.graph said, news media hardly covers anything in regards to the league, and then we have people speaking on you ladies when they probably have never even been at a game. I agree with this comment 100%. I think if we're going to talk about coverage, we need to talk about quality of coverage instead of lack of coverage. When you watch SportsCenter and they have NBA highlights, the personality is excited when they're going through them and they're talking about it and they're into it. You can tell they enjoy it. I haven't seen us highlighted on SportsCenter that often, but the few times I have, usually the personality is going through our highlights like this. Elena Deladon goes in for the layup. And here, Angel McCoughtry dribbles by 2 defenders and hits the fadeaway jumper. Chicago Sky wins by 12. Like, there's no enthusiasm. They don't care at all. And I'm not just saying that about, ESPN. It goes from the top down. I've watched a WNBA game where the LA Sparks were playing, and the color analyst mispronounced Nneka Ogwumike's name every single time he said it. That is one of the top players in our league, and you mispronounce it every time you say it?
Grabbed underneath by Ogwumike. Stolen, picking it up is Ogwumike.
No! No! No!
You would never see that in the NBA. You're never going to see them say, Kobe Bryant. Like, what? Are you serious? So how do you expect others to respect our league when you have people working with us and for us who clearly aren't engaged and clearly don't respect it on the level that they should? I think that's the biggest issue for us, is that we need more people that care about our sport working with our sport, because there are a lot of people out there that simply are not engaged in putting the proper effort that needs to be put towards promoting us and making us look good. I feel like it's an issue with women in any workplace. There's always going to be people that think we aren't capable simply because we're women. Even when I posted the question on social media, I got 2 comments from men pretty much confirming that this is an issue. One of which said, women shouldn't be allowed to play basketball or have rights. I mean, it falls right in there with staying in the kitchen. It's not really a sport.
Okay.
I could go deeper into it, but I feel like it's really just ignorance. I'm pretty sure I could speak for the league and say that if this is why you're not watching us, we really couldn't care less. I know I personally get paid on the 1st and the 15th for this thing you consider not a sport. So I guess I'm getting over it. That's all I got for today, guys. Next episode, I'm going to go through the last 3 categories that you guys mentioned in your responses. One of which is the top reason I think we are disrespected. So I'll get into that next week. Thank you guys for joining me again for another episode of Down and Dirty with Devereaux.